executing process group. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything about executing the project. We'll understand in detail how, as a project manager, you should execute the project, how you need to work with the team, how you need to ensure the quality checks, how do you kind of work with the other stakeholders, how do you kind of take care of the changes that happen. Okay, so very important. In this video we'll learn in detail how, as a project manager, you will take care of the issues, the fixes, and ensure the project is on track. You're following the baselines to deliver a very good project. Executing project process group is very important because this is where the actual work gets done. Okay, now before we start the executing of the project, we need to have two things with us. One is the project management plan should be ready. Second, the change management plan. How do you take corrective actions, right? So those plans should be ready, the change control board should be ready, a process should be ready, and then you can start the executing of the project. Okay, so that's how it gets begun. Now, I want to explain you how the five process groups, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing, overlap with each other. Okay, even on waterfall projects or even on, say, predictive life cycle projects, right? These process groups overlap. Okay, so there's an overlap between planning, monitoring, executing, controlling, and then after that monitoring, and then executing and monitoring, controlling, and planning. So there's a lot of overlap that happen. Okay, I want you to visually see this and understand how a project is very dynamic. Projects are very dynamic. Okay, project management is not linear, right? So you need somebody to manage this because a lot of things happen around. Okay, so let's try to understand this. So the level of activity also plotted on one side, the time on one side. So initiating, you see, so initiating happens in the beginning of the project. Now after initiating comes planning, but during initiating itself there is some effort put on planning also. More effort happens in planning after you have the project charter ready. Okay, so initiating is done, then planning is happening, and then after that, you, let's say you spend 5 to 10% effort on initiating, you spend at least 15-20% on planning, then most of the time and level of activity goes on the executing process group. Lot of time, 50 to 60%, some 60 to 70% of the time also goes on executing the project. Okay, you have to work on the deliverables, you have to ensure how you're getting the work done. This is the time you're working with other teammates, you're working on the software or any kind of project you're working on. You're working on issues, you're working on addressing the risk, right? You're working with the teammates or resolving conflicts, you're conducting procurements, right? All of this is happening over here. And then finally you've got the monitoring and controlling process groups that spreads across the entire duration of the project. Okay, so you see here it's going from starting from the initiating till the end, it's spread across, right? It goes to all the process groups. And finally you've got closing process group that has got a major overlap with monitoring and controlling. Okay, so initiating and closing do not have any overlap. These are two separate groups of work that happens, but there is overlap between planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling. Remember this when you're trying to understand process groups. Okay, and very important, don't get confused that process groups are phase gates. Project phase gates are different, process groups are different. Phase is an end of a delivery or deliverable. Okay, it could be end of design, it could be end of development, end of testing, going live. There's going to be 4 different phases, and each phase will have this initiating, planning, executing, controlling, monitoring, closing in an adaptive life cycle project. Okay, or if you're looking into different phases, like say first phase for rural, next phase for urban, the next phase for, like, you have got say web app or something. So those can be the 4 different phases, and each phase will have all these 5 process groups: initiating, planning, monitoring, controlling, executing, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing groups. So those can happen in together. Okay, that's how these process groups occur. So don't get confused, process groups are not project phases. Okay, process groups is a way to execute the project, it's a process. Understand this. Okay, now the most important thing that we're going to do in the executing process group is the work, the delivery. Just do it, right? By following the plan. The delivery has to happen. You're gonna build the software. You're gonna, test the software. You're gonna look for issues in the software, right? So you're gonna build this software over here, and then you'll gather a lot of data. Okay. The most important thing that you're getting from this process group is the delivery. Understand this. As I told you, the delivery is important. Once you start working on delivery, you start producing deliverables. Maybe it could be a software, a mobile software, or an application development software, or maybe a system software, or if you're working on construction project, it could be a home. So you're producing deliverables. Okay, what is major output over you're getting is you're producing deliverables, right? How you're producing deliverables, we'll also gather some data on that. Okay, so then after that, you gather a lot of data. Now, how is the work done? You're trying to understand and see how is the work done, so you're gathering a lot of data. Like for example, you could gather data on about on team performances, who's putting more output, right? Is the resource being utilized? Is the burn rate fine? Okay, is the capacity and effort, meaning is are the earned value, plan value kind of being utilized, right? So you're going to gather that data, right? Other seniors folks doing their work, junior folks doing that data can be recorded. Then you can record the data on the burn down chart, right? How much of story points we're burning in agile, take a burn down chart, story points, how many story points are we burning, right? What are the deliverables getting delivered, what are the features we are closing, what are the stories, epics, features, stories, tasks, subtasks, all of these can be tracked. Means you gather a lot of data over here. Okay, so you're just seeing like how is this data, how the people are working, who's doing some work in 4 days, who's doing something in 5 days, who had planned for 5 days and did it took 7 to 8 days, what is the problem, who had planned for 5 days and did it for like 3 to 4 days, what is the advantage, what was done separately. So gathering lot of data to understand your project. Okay, so you have to do a lot of data gathering. Okay, then so all of this data gathering is done by a sheet called as check sheet. Check sheet is just data gathering. Checklist is like kind of number of steps of doing something. It is a flow. It's like a flow chart. Step one, step two, step three, step four, like deployment checklist. Check sheets are more of a data gathering tool. Okay, remember this for your PMB examination. So any data gathering you do is called as a check sheet. Okay, then you follow the quality processes. Now you want to check if you're an IT project, you go and follow the quality process. You want to check how many defects are there, how many are like low, medium, high. Then after that you want to check the severity of these defects, and then you want to see how many defects are catching in the local environment, in the end-to-end testing environment, in the UAT environment, how many defects are kind of getting passed from the UAT or from the local environment. You want to gather all of this data, and then you want to follow the process. You want to check like what were the metrics you said, what were the CPIs, what were the KPIs, right? What was the release performance index, what was the defect density, what was the defect leak, right? So all of these things you have set this standards in the planning process group. Now you want to follow and check, are we kind of following these standards, right? Like how many lines of code is getting written, right? All those things you have to track. So all the processes you have to follow. Then maintain issue log and raid logs, very very important when you're working on project. A very important part, every project manager should maintain raid logs. Raid logs are like you want to capture what identify what are the risks, what are the risk mitigation plans, who's the owner, what is the impact, when are you going to close the risk, what is the status of the risk. You want to catch up that in the risk register. Okay, then actions, you have to, after meetings are done, after work is getting done, you want to capture the action items, who owns it, by when is it going to get closed, what are the ETS. It is a simple Excel sheet or a Confluence page that you need to track, or you can put it on Jira board also, right? Then you want to track what are the issues right now on the project, right? Where is the problem? So the difference between risk and an issues, like risk is the probability of a event that could be like positive or negative that can occur, uncertainty, right? Issue is an issue, is a problem already occurred. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, probability of an issue is one, probability of risk, it may or may not occur. Okay, then you have to work on the dependencies. You have to check like where are things stuck, which team has got which dependency. All of this helps you come from a critical path. You go into the network diagram, see, you get on the dependencies of the project. You check with the different cross-functional teams and understand dependencies. Very very important for a project manager to track the raid logs on a project. Okay, this is the most important part of the executing process group. Then you will refine the work to be delivered. You do progressive elaboration. Okay, now you've got the stories, you've got the now the planning that happens, sprint planning if you're doing an agile project. So you elaborate, you go in detail. You break down the epics into features, features into stories, stories into tasks. You have people working on them, so a lot of details have, right? So who's going to work on that? So you do the breakdown of the deliverables, and you've got the people working. You can also take work packages and work groups and work on them. So refine the work that needs to be delivered happens in the executing process group. Okay, so it's like the definitive estimate with just a leeway of like 5%, plus or minus 5%, or 5 to 10% of range is what is collected over here. Then after that, now you're observing things and improving, right? Like what happened in sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, you're doing sprint demos, sprint retrospectives. Now you're continuously improving things. That's called kaizen, empirical way to improve, right? Agile is all about empirical way of improving things, wherein you do and learn from that. You don't just learn historical data, you learn from how the way things are being done, you check and then you improve. Okay, so that happens. Then you conduct review meetings, sprint review, demos. You call the product owners, you call the business users, you do the demo, you show them, you get feedback, and then you incorporate the feedback. You address it in the next sprint if there's something to be addressed immediately. Then you have retrospectives. How did the things go well? Like what can be improved, what went well, what didn't go well, right? What can be improved, what are the action items? So all of these things are part of your empirical way of improving things. That's a continuous improvement. That's Kaizen, what we're doing, right? Then you onboard the team. So to do the work as a project manager, you have to have people. So you onboard a team in executing process group, you manage the team, you take care of the needs, you remove the roadblocks, you ensure they've got the basic things that they need, you keep them motivated, you keep the like hygienic. Okay, so all those things you do, and you ensure you give the rewards, recognition, perks, right? You have to manage people now. Then you evaluate team performances. You have one-on-ones, you have got appraisals, quarterly appraisals, half-yearly appraisals, monthly appraisals, or whatever is the standard you have in your organization, right? So you will do evaluate the team performances. Okay. Now then you conduct team building activities. So you want to have fun at work. You want to keep people motivated, right? You want to keep a culture when people come and work together, when they feel like having some fun at work, right? So you take them for outings, you take them for quarterly outings, you kind of have fun at work activities, you have some indoor games, you have got things recreation at the office place. So you conduct team building activities, and even work breakdown structure, building work breakdown structure is also team building activity. Remember that PMI says that, right? All of this you do to build trust among your team members too, so that they can back up each other and ensure they see the big picture of the project and deliver the project and get success on the project. Okay, so that's important. Then after that, you reward the team. You reward the team based on the performances, right? So that also happens. The rewards and recognition happens. So you give them certificates, you give them perks, you give them Amazon vouchers. So anything will happen, right? So rewarding them. You resolve conflicts. If people are not happy working with each other, you have to resolve the conflicts. So PMI suggests like there are multiple ways of solve conflicts, like problem solving, smoothing, and then after that you have got withdrawal, right? So then all of things enforcing, right? So all of these ways are to use to resolve conflicts. I've got recorded a separate short series on all of these things that a project manager does. 20 plus videos of shorts on all the important concepts to manage team and ensure you deliver the project. You can watch it in my short series. I'll be putting a link over here. Okay, then after that you release the team members. Once the project is done, you release the team members. All of this you're doing in the executing process group. Okay, then you facilitate discussions with stakeholders, right? Very very important. It could be weekly team meeting, it could be a status meeting with the team, it could be the daily scrums, right? Steer course, escalations, demos, retrospectives. Daily scrums is the most famous, that's right now that happens. So you can have daily scrum meetings with them. So all of these discussions are facilitated. You do all of this in this particular process group. Okay, the lot of data you gather, then you infer from the data, work performance data is gathered, then you move it into the command and controlling and give the reports, right? So then you implement risk responses, like what are the risks is there, then what is the response you're going to implement. So all the risk responses are implemented in this process group. Okay, now you also check is there a need for change request, right? Like for example, somebody wanted a house to be built, right? After the house was built, the project was signed, right? Everything was done. Now they came back, no, we want a couple of windows and a chimney. So that needs a change request because it's not a part of the baseline, right? So you have to check that is there need for change request, then get the change request initiated, get it approved, right? Implement any contingency plans. Okay, if there is a delay, somebody fell sick, right? What are the contingency plans? Or the duration of the project was reduced, right? What is the contingency measures? All of this will be implemented now. Okay, evaluate and negotiate with sellers, sign a contract. So you do all the negotiations over here, you conduct the procurement, then you evaluate them, you kind of get these things done, you negotiate, and you get the contract awarded. Okay, finally you update documents like risk registers based on the actions you've taken, the new risks that come up. So risk can be pointed out by anybody on the project. It's just not the project manager has to point out risk. I always ask this question in my team meetings: what are the issues, what are the risks, right? Anything that you need my to look into, right? So risk register, project plans updated, issue logs, change logs, stakeholders updated, new people joining the team, and lessons learned registered. All of this is being updated. So these are the activities we are doing in the executing process group. Understand them, and then do this on your project. You'll be able to execute the project in a very nice way. Okay, then in the next video I'll be recording and telling you about monitoring and controlling process group. There we'll understand about all the variances, corrective actions, work performance reports, work performance information. We'll look into that. So thank you for watching my video. This is Arham Faraaz. Please do like, share and subscribe. I wish you all the best for your PMP examination. Bye bye.